EMEA. I think we've got to remember teams like Gambit who are coming in to try and ruin it for Europe, and I think there's a very good chance they will. Definitely one of my favorite teams to watch. But here we go. We are getting into ASCENT. It could be our final map, and it's very aggressive from Scream. I feel like we call that one the Chihuahua. The instant dash down mid. He was attempting that versus a few different teams, and to be honest, that was about as successful as his was.
Yeah, well, Chihuahua is spotting you fast and swift anyway when it runs after you. In the meantime, Scream eliminated with a Chihuahua move. Cryptic's the only one standing back on the side of A. And so, as left, right, and center players start to get on the site, it's getting a bit problematic for him. Link would still have his charge ready for use, but as Poster waits... No, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Don't do it. Don't do stupid moves, because otherwise you win stupid prizes. And so, as Poster still tries to make it with the right click... Wow, that's risky. I mean, tell me what you want, but that is damn risky what he was doing there.
I think if he reloads anyway, he's going to get pushed from a different angle. He slowed them down a little bit. I'd say going for an attempted knife kill when you are 2-1 down in a series that eliminates you from contention from EMEA at Masters, that would have been probably the boldest play I think we've ever seen. Now, we're going to have the same spot again that we saw from Liquid previously. Realizing that this pistol is unwinnable, they're going to wait to see if they can catch anybody on the exit. But this time, it is going to be a completely different push. And you know what? The remaining players, they want to die to the spike. And actually, Tom is going to wait around to get himself an extra orb. Now, you might think, Tom, he died to the spike, but that trade is worth it every single time. He loses a frenzy, and he gains an ultimate orb.
Well put. And you know you get the Seekers for it. I think we don't really need to talk too much about that. Proper start, and ASCENT being a map recently, or FNATIC, looked quite decent on the composition, and so was Sky, Jet, Killjoy, and Omen. You know, I don't really need to explain you that. That's the very classic one that has been run by FNATIC since 3.0, and obviously, it's time to see if once more Soulcast and Co. can rebuke the side of FNATIC with what they have done. I genuinely am at least happy that we have this Sentinel approach in form of FNATIC and Team Liquid, because I saw a few teams start the Sentinel-less ASCENT. Looking at you, Big. I don't really think that is the best decision.
This round, at least. An attempt to battle and brawl into mid. Well, actually, Magnum's going to catch the fade away from Scream. Not exactly going fantastically well. I will say I'm still a little bit sad that Mystic now plays Omen on this map instead of Viper. I loved his Viper setups on this map. It's something that I don't think there were many other players doing for, well, ever really, and he was just someone that managed to make it work. Had some cool one-ways when it came to the B site, and just made it really difficult to push in, almost playing it as a Sentinel. But they've gone a little bit more, I guess, standard with their compositions. Link, though, any weapon in his hand, still going to be deadly. But they've left the A site completely open, and although they might be able to make this one a little bit more costly, ultimately the round is very likely going the way of FNATIC.
Caution here.
And as Poster patiently is taking a look what Doma does, as we saw in the previous pictures where Doma was actually blindfolded, didn't even see a thing, and Poster was looking over his shoulders. This time around, Soulcast and Link will not have too much to do. And ASCENT being a map which, well, obviously we previously called being an absolute excellent battlefield for Team Liquid. Remember Stage 2, how many teams they continuously beat on that map. It was insane. I mean, it was really getting to a point where you thought Liquid will never be beatable, or hardly beatable, over on this map with a perfect streak. But ever since things went downhill massively, the loss against FPX, for example, recently, is showing that. But this is the present. This is where Liquid only needs a single map secured, and then they head on. Then they got their slot, and FNATIC would be out.
Normally we talk about players going down to the spike on purpose. I am fairly certain that for Boaster, that was not the plan. I think we finally got to see an accidental spike death, as he really doesn't gain anything. I think they actually lost a Spectre for that, so a bit more costly than they would have liked. 3 players being dropped in a anti-eco round, that's not too bad for Liquid, even if they didn't do the hard work on the 3rd one. So now we see them come in with rifles. No operator just yet for Yumpy. That's also another thing about this map that I'm missing. I loved the Scream Phoenix Yumpy Jet combo on this map. That was probably one of my favorite compositions of any team, and sadly it's gone now.
We're on the one way. Yumpy's playing, but yep, to his left-hand side. It's Magnum with the high ground. There you see the smile. Obviously, this is the way you get the frag with such a friendly face. But this is Cryptus.
Okay.
Hold on. That was looking way too clean. Didn't expect that. B main control goes to Scream. A lot of map presence that the Liquid side have now obtained. And they can rule it out. They should pretty much rule it out. A lot of pressure from Scream.
That looked like a free kill. Now, they're going to have a player actually waiting and watching to try and catch from behind to stop Scream, although it's the classic corner. Link as well, stunning up the backline, still has flashes to try and bait them back, and he's holding the line. A second kill for him already. Scream will deal with Doma, and now it's left all onto Boaster. The IGL to try and clutch this one. Well, he knows where Solcas is. That might not matter. It's the remaining 2 players coming in behind, and Solcas will finish the job. Liquid onto the board. 3 players survive. Well, now we see what's left for FNATIC to invest back in with. Because as I said, the last couple of rounds were fairly expensive.
They were fairly expensive indeed. And, well, there you go again. Thank you very much. This is a brilliant fault line. Ever since, I mean, I'm so happy that Breach is back into play with Patch 3.0 because he hardly has been played. I mean, he's that vanilla agent. Ryan called the vanilla map, vanilla lineups, vanilla composition. But it's still one of my absolute favorites ever since. He's that big, well-bearded Swedish man who
What
can
are you
do it all.
saying? What, the big and well-bearded. That was what you went for.
Yeah, I mean, he has a big, he has a lot of, I was trying to make a story
Hello, my
about
kind
this.
friend. You are looking very well-bearded this evening.
That was probably one of those sessions instead Ryan is gonna make fun of any second soon. I hate you, Tom. I really hate you. Either way, getting away from that. What a great kind of game. FNATIC, oh well, I'm going back to the actual one. Are taking a good bit of control over on the A side as Yumpy is trying to take down Poster desperately. It's Domo takes a bit of short control but can't work off of his little guiding lights. Spike's gonna be down on the ground, Tom, but Liquid just go for the safe immediately. The reasonable choice.
Yeah, solid entries once again. Denying any aggression that came out from Liquid. Dirk are also finding the second into the site. This is another map that I just feel like for Jet Operator players, they're just going to be given the opportunity to dominate, especially when it comes to the defense. But you just have the ability, especially to just dash into the sites, dash into those cloudbursts, and just take so much space while the rest of the team come up behind. Now, we've already seen in terms of ults, Link has been doing enough damage that he's going to have that rolling thunder, which almost just makes things a little bit easier for him when it comes to being one of the solo site holds. But it also gives an opportunity, if they desire, for them to get a bit more aggressive. He's going to survive this time, right? Yeah, it'll be okay.
It'll be all right.
I think you can see a slight smile, just like, yeah, I'm not dying to the spike twice.
Oh, well, I got to say, it's one of those games, you know, I would really like to say that there's something where I could say, oh yeah, FNATIC could take a proper lead. Oh yeah, FNATIC could definitely go for a proper victory here in the long run. But let's be real, Tom, how goddamn often did we see those things turn around easily? Well, as they stand in front of the gates of B-Link, their push towards mid could be inevitable, but first of all, a bit of control over short is what they'll try to obtain. Then, maybe, it's a bit more mid control they want to have.
I've got your trail.
Opportunity, but realistically, it's going to be Solcas to open. Our HUDs had a little bit of a hissy fit and given up on us, which definitely makes things a bit more confusing, but luckily, hasn't been too many deaths so far. A weapon to be retrieved, but Yumpy's not going to get away with it. Mystic left on the lurk to sneak in from behind, and now gives back the man advantage. Solid flash, but it isn't going to be enough. Doma keeps the angle safe. Well, Boaster. Oh, this is a bit of an awkward corner now for Solcas to be in. He's going to take a hell of a lot of damage on the way out, and Doma is still going. Just popping heads as he does.
Easy peasy. As he plucks that off. No real chance left for Solcas. And obviously this game so far, well, we saw quite decent leads being the initiation of a game. 4-1, for example. It was Liquid on Haven. Having a quite decent start as a defender. On Split, same goes for FNATIC. 4-1 lead against Team Liquid there. On Bind, well, I don't really need to tell you what happened there. You saw it yourself just a few seconds ago. It is amazing to watch what the Liquid side has been doing so far. Because, to be honest, to be really honest with you, it's amazing to see how strong they have developed in situations where they've been absolutely down, Split being the best example there. And this means the mental fortitude on both parties is exceptional. And this makes, I think this is one of the reasons why we saw that this best of 5 is so goddamn tight.
Yeah, I think for Liquid as well, like being a map to the good, like sure they're not going to want to let that slip away, but it gives you a little bit more wiggle room. The opposing side of that though for FNATIC is, it's almost weird. I feel like they need to be on like a last life. Like the second this team gets to the point where it's like, if you lose this, you're out. It just seems like there's another gear, another level, a step up that they take every single time. And, well, not many teams have been able to stop them in that regard. Early paranoia used to force back one player, but it'd be a fairly big risk trying to run through those cages. And the fact is they don't need to. They've got themselves the lockdown, something that can't really be denied. Scream is actually going to be able to stick it a little bit longer with the dash available to him. And hey, taking out Durka, well, it's no easy fate.
It is absolutely no easy fake. Scream was primarily denied any further movement towards the B side, but now as the Seekers are clearing the way, they definitely will go closer to the mud. Mystic waits back in the corner. Can he swing at the right time? On 1, indeed. On 2, not possible. And suddenly Magnum and the boys, they gotta find a way to prevail. He knows and seemingly is aware that someone is over the left-hand side, but nope. Even his awareness can't help. FNATIC on the 4th, that might be great, but Liquid show once more a sign of life.
Yeah, a really good hold from them there. It screams aggression initially, then the retake as a group, making things really awkward. Not even a plant coming down for FNATIC in the end, so Liquid, once they get the weaponry back into play, they're going to put themselves in an advantage. Link again is off to a flying start. He's definitely made a huge name for himself, especially when this team initially, well, firstly looked like it was just going to be Screaming team, then Yumpy came in and everybody got excited about that, but I feel like it's the other pieces of Liquid that have truly made this team one to be feared. Again, we're going to see the Tiger thrown in to this B side, and they may think that that's forced back Scream, but he's actually going to play still inside this aggressive position. Now, there is weaponry on the side of FNATIC as well, so if he loses this duel, it would be a bit of a problem. And is he? I think he expects Doma to be in the corner still, so just sat patiently waiting.
He is, but look, at the same time, his Stubble is waiting somewhere close to top mid. Durka has taken a lot of room already. Seems like Yumpy's aware that one player might just dash close to him any second soon. But this is the calm before the storm, and FNATIC haven't fully decided yet where to go.
No, I think they're expecting aggression. Now, it's getting to the point where Scream, there's no way he still expects someone to be in this corner. Because it's been so long, why would anybody sit there for a full minute? And while Doma almost manages to make it work, but holding onto the dash allows him an easy escape. And now what might have been their early plan to get a free kill actually comes back to bite them. 30 seconds left on the clock. Doma has the spike as well, so he has to go running, and he's going to get dropped. Now, there is a trade available. That's at least one player gone, but they have to run back, and Scream is now looking to watch onto the cross. They've been able to just about escape, but there's repositions from the remaining players on A, trying to get more aggressive to drop the spike.
The thing is, right there, you saw Screamer's probably communicating. They're pushing up mid, they're pushing up something like short, but suddenly they move backwards. Cryptix, though, is holding it perfectly, and he's the last soldier to be the guard of the site. The third frag secured. My goodness. Cryptix is feeling it. We saw him having somewhat of a lackluster split, for example, which is also due to his positioning, which is not his fault, but now he seems to chime in. 5 frags over the course of 7 rounds. Fair play, and definitely what you want to see. You don't want to see any player having this somewhat unfortunate and saddening feeling of not having impact in the game, because that's so crucial. You want everybody hyped, and as they are pretty much in a bootcamp situation here, Liquid, the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think this round as well, though, it almost comes as a little bit of a slip up to FNATIC. Like, I don't like the solo player being the last one having the spike. Like, there was so many things that could go wrong. He didn't see him with the Tiger. That's the only way that makes any sense. Because to swing and not check that upper angle, you are assuming that is completely clear. So, well, I speak of mistakes on one side. I think that's a bit of an oversight on the other. And Solcast can't really fight that. In fact, he's going to get ulted out. He's going to go and try and fight them. It's just like, all right, you want to go? Well, I know you're not going to ult your teammate, so I'll just try and run into your face.
Definitely the case, and Magnum is coming in with important frags previously also, and Reykjavik proved how good of a clutch player he is, and this time it's just pure aim that he's flexing with. The man who was the hero previously most likely won't stand a chance. If Cryptix considers going down here, good luck, have fun, mate. But the guys off FNATIC are very eager to take you down. Plywood is not good cover.
Who knew? Who knew? Now, again, it's fallen into the same scenario as before. Try and hold down these exit positions and make things as costly as humanly possible. But yeah, that's got to be a frustrating round for Liquid in general. Like, to not spot the play. I do wonder once the Tiger went past, maybe that's where Magnum actually jumps up, but there's a fairly risky swing. Link can't really reface this. He wants to make it as costly as possible, but realistically, he can't afford to just lose the gun for nothing, and that's exactly what will happen. They should still have the finance to invest. I would assume so, otherwise that play doesn't make a lot of sense.
The question to ask yourself is at what point Liquid will take a little timeout, because you don't want to see your opponent running away with that, convincingly getting rounds again and again. And it's not in a way where I would say FNATIC are playing over-aggressive Valorant where they surprise teams. I mean, it's basically they play the same baseline ever since. I wouldn't say that too much has changed over on this Ascent so far in those 8 rounds we saw.
Yeah, it's been a lot of default rounds. I think there's been a few slip-ups here and there, but ultimately the opposing side has done well to capitalize on it. Bladestorm popped for Scream, and the rest of the team are going to be able to comfortably lie. As I said, that push from Link wouldn't have made any sense if they didn't have the finances. In this spot, absolutely fine. Both players are going to miss their initial shots. And in fact, after showing on one side of the map, seems FNATIC want to try and take pressure elsewhere. Now, they've already spotted Yumpy's position, but in fact, he's just going to, from the shadows out of there, can take a huge amount of risks and then just fall back as if nothing happened.
And the question then is, will they expect that? That's the next one. In the meantime, if they find a way to support Doma to get that orb, they'd still have the Seekers ready. The perfect tool to enter a site, basically.
Yeah, they've got a decent amount. Potentially going to try and use the From the Shadows to teleport to the back, but the fact is there's a pretty damn solid read, and Scream is playing so close that I assume this will just be a right-click knife and dash. He's in the perfect place to stop them here.
He's looking for it. There they come. He's whiffing it, and he's down to the pistol, isn't he? Yep, that's only the classic for him. Link is there to support to at least slow them down a little bit. Mystic comes in. The players are now swarming onto the side, and as Scream waits, they find one after another. It's for him for the classic. He wants more. He is hungry. And once more, it's no classic frags for you, Scream. Boaster can do the same. He knows how to use that mouse. But at the same time, the spike is on the ground. And perfectly done here by FNATIC. Chaos that descended over on the side of B, but they succeed at the end of the day.
I stand by the fact that we had sort of this back and forth on Twitter. Like, Mini is going to have the greatest health insurance in the universe, because the rounds that FNATIC are winning are so damn stressful. Like, they're coming down to the wire, seconds left on the clock each time, late executions that... there's an extra knife that connects, an extra pistol shot goes wrong and they lose it and run out of time. Like, you could see how desperate Liquid were to try and get back into that site, because they started planting at about 6-7 seconds. Like, you drop that and the round is over. So ridiculously close. Like, Mystic TPs to the back of the site. I'm surprised he actually sticks that in the end and doesn't just cancel it after his teammates are not yet through. But yeah, it comes down to the wire, but FNATIC get it through. Get themselves a 6th round on the attacking half, which really isn't bad for them whatsoever. Yeah. And you can tell how unusual it is to see the Bucky in play at the moment, considering how much it screws up the UI. Like, it is over the UI. That, like, even the look at the operator on the other side, fits perfectly. The Bucky, absolutely screwed.
True. I mean, I imagine at this point in time, It's just basically so unusual that they have to manually put a JPEG
No one
or
noticed it
PNG.
before.
Yeah, they have to manually, the poor video producer has to put a PNG in and sends the thing flying at the end. That would be great.
Should ask FNATIC if they've got one with like Boaster standing behind it, like pointing or something.
I think there's probably a terabyte full of pictures of Boaster on the FNATIC cloud. And in the meantime, Dirk is moving in, and as those little Seekers lead the way, Cryptix is in there. Oh, nope. That is not a ran from Loafer coming towards us. No chance for the little Bucky.
Yeah, it's a gun I'm not expecting to get kills anymore. It
Nope.
kind of sucks. Been nerfed into the ground. At least, again, doing a little bit of damage here and there. Boaster now stepping up as an operator player, it seems. Not something I was expecting to say today. We've seen Angel do it in the past. Link is still making this very close. He has his ultimate, and he's used it on Yumpy.
But he still got the right kind of weapon for this. Look, I mean, this is the perfect one-tap weapon anyway. And they get closer and closer. Suddenly, they start to break through the defense. No way that this works. Link's coming by, but he can't make it work. It's the omen of FNATIC sight that sent this man to hell. And FNATIC with the 7 finally look like they are really properly in the driver's seat for a map once in a while. Who could have guessed?
Yeah, it's still like you'll say in the driver's seat. I'd say that they're like clinging on in most of these rounds. Like this never should have been anywhere near as close, and it's one of those maps that you watch and like if you go on VLR or the Spike or run it back or whatever afterwards, and you're having a look and you're going 7-3 FNATIC easy. No, it's not been.
No.
It's been anything but. Well, there have been so many rounds that Liquid could have won. That I don't think that was intended by Solcas. He did technically get information, but he was also blind.
That's an absolute downside, I would say. If you want to gain information, you're blind. This is really... It's usually not what you're looking for. In my opinion. I don't know. I'm not a professional.
I'm gonna go back for this. Man has no fear.
No.
But again, they're going to fall back. Now, Link has started to get a little bit more aggressive. He's having a decent game. Individually, for sure, he's been earning that ultimate a little bit sooner than opponents might have expected. The Seekers are also garner information that they're at least pressuring into mid, but it's still quite passive from the remaining players. Doma is also going to catch the aggression of Scream, and just before the stun comes through, Soulcast falls as well. Cryptix needs to pull something off here, but he's being sectioned off by the utility. But they have actually been denied at least for a second, and he does actually still have a cam.
Yeah, he does. At the same time, I have to say this was brilliant. You know, it's a classic default composition. You can't always highlight it, but at the same time, the way they take the control over CT is brilliant. Yumpy is not expecting what's happening towards middle, and therefore, Link and Cryptix carry their weapons home, put a blanket on him, put him to sleep, waking up next morning. Round number 8 should be on the board for FNATIC right here, if they don't even get those weapons stolen. The worst part for me at this point here, Tom, is the matter of fact...
I'll take it as a compliment.
I mean, calling someone Ryan, always big brain. Pretty much
he's
Einstein
an
of
attractive
Valorant.
man. I would.
True. He even got more hair than you, you know?
That's the only downside. Like, if he had less hair, he'd be more attractive. He needs more shine. He needs to get some, like, boot polish and, like, rub it on the head.
Okay, listen. I mean, I was trying to make a valid point because right now
they got both.
They got both. And the thing is, take a look at the old situation of Team Liquid. It's not like they have a life insurance. They already have signed. Okay, we're gonna get round number 4. There's no rolling thunder. We have the neural theft. Okay, nice and great. But other than that, I didn't witness anything that they could activate easily at this point.
Yeah, I think the other issue as well is like. Most of the time when we see repeat executions on ASCENT, it's going to be on that A site. I think it's normally the site that teams find easier to take. I think the B site from Liquid has looked pretty weak in this map. Like, the Cryptix has been struggling a lot of the time to deny them. A lot of the time they've had to try and either play heavily aggressive or just go for a straight up retake. And most of their aggressive pushes have been shut down so far. I can think of maybe one where that spike was dropped in mid by Doma, and a lot of that revolved around Yumpy's operator. So I don't think they've had a counter to what has been this like mid-B split in most rounds. And sure, some of the retakes were close, but it's only really been retakes. Like, they've not had like a solid hold throughout the half thus far. Now, we're going to see the early clear of a lot of these corners. Magnum just making sure there's not going to be any aggression. Yumpy's actually just going to go straight out. The fact he gets a kill there is surprising. And the information he's managed to gather up is huge. But there is still going to be a lockdown put into place. And, well, they could survive at the back of the site. They could try and fight this one. And that's actually what they're going to do.
They very much do so, but look, no way! Mystic's actually not hitting that, and as the players are getting closer to that lockdown radius, they still have all that confidence. Dirk cannot easily enter the site, Boaster's on his own, and that 4th round seems to be granted. Boaster better get out of there. He still knows where Cryptix is. A flick to the right-hand side would work brilliantly, but it seems like they will swing simultaneously any second soon. Too much round, you cannot gain too much room, which they'll not let you have. As though those are decent darts.
Okay.
Finds one. Okay, we're getting there, but not fast enough.
Yeah, a lot of the time we see these executions involving the from the shadows. I think that's twice now that Mystic has just been owned both times he's attempted to do it. It's not been great. He's top of the board still, so it almost seems like the majority of his deaths have almost come from the shadows. I do question, maybe we should have seen like somebody in there with him. I think that's been the issue each time. We saw it on B as well, where he's in the back of the site, he's teleported in, and the rest of the team is still held back by somebody else. So I think either they need to delay it a little bit, or they just need to be a little bit quicker taking control. But 8-4, very solid half, especially considering that we were looking at a 4-3 at one point. Like, they managed to turn that into a fairly dominant half with some decent B takes. Now let's see if they can do it on the defense, because, well, we know that with Scream back on this jet, it's going to be a little bit tougher to stop him dashing into those sites.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the next Valoranting episode where Mitch is going to go 2 minutes straight ham on how Scream is finally not playing KO anymore. In the meantime, that thing doesn't matter. The setup over on the side of Ace.
So much damage.
Yep, that's a lot. Look, 1942, this is easy. This seems to be just a meat grinder right now, created by FNATIC. The players of Team Liquid might have conquered the site, but not much more than that.
Oh, Durka maybe questioning whether or not to break that trip, but after being spotted, he's actually going to go rotating all the way back. That's a perfect paranoia. One left completely blind, but they're still trading man for man at least. And somehow, Yumpy's brought it back into a winnable position. Cryptix with another. It's left all on to Big Daddy Durka, though, trying to turn the tide once again. It is down to the 1v1. Both players tagged up. The smoke almost used to try and bait him in. This has actually helped him out. He's just going to defuse it. He's just going to stick it all the way. Yumpy has almost just handed him the round. What?
Like, I was genuinely thinking, what was the thought process behind that? I mean, surely there was some So my guess would be he knows he's up against a ghost and he knows exactly where his opponent is. Right.
So realistically, if he peeks that angle, he probably dies. So he opts to put the smoke onto his opponent, expecting him to wide swing, and instead Durka does this. Which I will say, you've got to have the biggest balls in the universe to just sit in that with 40 HP and just stick it all the way. But you're up against Durka, and you should know that he does.
I mean, it was somewhat gifted that his opponent blocked his own vision on the spike. Let's put it that way. That's the only thing where we could probably argue for hours, but at the same time, not in the brain of the player. So I'm more than sure there was an astute thinking behind this. Well, a bit of a spot off bother Team Liquid got themselves in, and with such a round being basically pulverized, 10th and the double digits seem to be on the road, easily being obtained by FNATIC, but never say never, as Justin Bieber told us.
You're a big fan, are you? That would be the least, out of all the things for you, that'd be the least surprising thing, I think, ever. Other than the fact if you was to say you like cars.
Dude, I hate cars. Bicycle 24/7.
Clip that. Someone clip that. Zesh hates cars. Anybody wondering? Zesh hates cars.
I really hate... Don't drive a car because I like it. Hate cars. But, well, talking about hating cars, seems like they might just fire on all cylinders to get on that side, but nope. Seems like there's some misfiring happening, leading only to Scream. With a sheriff in hand, sure.
You could say they've stalled.
They've stalled, absolutely. It seems like they might just keep on stalling there. Well, let's put it that way, Tom. They crashed, and I'm not quite sure into what, but they were pressing the throttle a little too hard, didn't find the brakes.
They went over the speed limit, and they've been caught by the camera.
You need to listen, right, Tom? In some parts of Germany, there is no speed limit. That doesn't work here, man.
Yeah, on the Autobahn.
Thank you very much for your best Killjoy impression there. I'm still mad at Riot for putting actually, because no one in German speaks the way Killjoy does. Be sure, no one in Germany speaks the way Killjoy speaks. Just making sure.
Everyone in Germany speaks the way that Killjoy speaks. Thank you. Right,
no worries.
So back into the round, 10-4. We're going to see the purchase coming up for Team Liquid. Their last lease of life when it comes to this map, because 10-4 down is not looking like a pretty picture.
Nope.
What I will say is FNATIC actually don't have a lot online. The ultimate's not particularly close, and the weaponry is definitely weaker than they would have liked. But obviously this is their bonus round, and that's not gone amazingly well. Now, I wonder if Scream actually heard Magnum dropping into that corner. He's going to avoid the scan by going inside his own cloudburst. And actually, FNATIC are looking to get a little bit aggressive. They've been spotted, though, and just opting to escape. Live to fight another day.
Don't be just wait for anyone to push her on heaven. There, Doma does exactly that mistake, but oh goodness gracious, with the mini operator, he just gets beheaded. FNATIC are waiting for Liquid to finally make a proper push, but it seems like they changed direction. The GPS tells them to go rather over short or mid. This is the question. Could still decide, and mid they go. But there was an alarm bot waiting for them, Tom, which is now leading into a fake. I was being pretty much bamboozled at that point myself. Over short they go. 20 more seconds to finally make a move.
This is a good fake.
This is a really good... Boaster's calling it, but Magnum knows. They know. They have realized, Tom.
Yeah, but in the meantime, deep control's been taken. Link already going to execute one on the side, but Durka might just do it! Only seconds left for them to grab the spike. I think he's just got it. Maybe within the last second, it's going to be incredibly close, and he will get it down. 0.2 to get that planted. But now it's left onto Boaster. A 1 versus 1, facing off against Scream. So many angles for Scream to try and check. Is he going to expect him? He will now. A chance to close this out, but 30 HP is all he has remaining. The dart even going to keep his position known. The shock dart could finish him, but he lands the headshot. It is Scream to keep them alive in their buy round. It's not one they'll be too happy about with how many players were lost, but it keeps them in the map.
Let's put it that way. Calm and collected. This is exactly the way Scream know. 1 HP, 30, 100, 150, it doesn't matter what the bar on the left-hand side says. The man is always on point. This, though, from Dirk nearly made it possible. 10-5. And now, well, I welcome you back to the vibe we had over on Split. You remember that? Well, it wasn't 11-4 for FNATIC there, and it got closer than we ever needed it to see. Let's see if this door with the window of opportunity is starting to open.
Well, this is both Jets playing a hyper-aggressive round. Magnum sneaks through the smoke. He knows any delay could give an opportunity for Dirk. He has to try and dash up here, but Cryptix just snaps him out of the sky. Mystic, the only one remaining. And although there's so many low players on the other side, a 1 versus 4? Surely not.
No, absolutely not. And is missing. He's waiting for anyone to just run into his claws, which would be beneficial considering to hurt Team Liquid economy a little further. Yeah, most likely would happen. They'll escape where it's safe. We see Scream is holding the ground in front of B main, so bye-bye, boys. See you later. And Mystic. Yeah, for a second I thought he would consider ninjaing this, but no way.
Yeah, I think he would have been very lucky to get away with that, especially considering the exit of the B site is you're pretty close to where the spike goes off. They'd have to have for some reason run very far away or almost have been hunting him down. And considering the position that Liquid are in, no risks taken. A good fast take from them as well. I like the pace change, especially the fact that Durka basically runs all the way down mid and gets nothing for his troubles. And now we're starting to get into the realms of possibility for Team Liquid. And I think that FNATIC have realized this. They're going to take themselves a pause. Now, it's not going to be, or it's not likely to be much of an investment in this round, but you have to bear in mind that Mystic did save himself a gun. So they might want to try and balance out their economy a little bit. Durka also has enough that he could go for an operator if they wanted to try some sort of hero round. But when you're 10-4 in the lead, I'd personally be against it just because, although you could win it, I don't think it's worth the risk.
What is in there this time? Nothing. Well, usually this is what you would see in the average matchmaking Reyna into the head, if you would look there, but not with Omen, very honestly.
Oh, why have you've just Harry plays Reyna? You've just insulted
Okay, Harry,
him.
listen, Harry is one of the guys who I imagine that he does a proper
He's
job
nuts.
on Reyna.
Like, he's actually he just frags. Like, the man has just got unbelievable aim.
Good.
So.
That's good. But could you consider, you know, Nuki, hey, play Reyna any day. You know, Dirk can play Reyna any day.
Yeah, Nuki can kind of do whatever he wants, though. I think one thing we didn't really see very often, but when CNED played Reyna on Split, that was a special treat. It's not something you'll see very often. Again, though, it's just going to be hyper-aggression coming out from Durka. All the way up mid, they're looking to try and split this through B. His spam isn't far away, but they don't expect Soulcast to be there. Mystic will at least trade one out, but that's absolutely fine for Cryptics, and he's just going to take the spike and get out of there. This fight is not worth it anymore.
Let's put it that way. This is what was a unique risk they were taking. Scream, as he gets Boaster, realizes very soon that FNATIC is only on 2 feet at this point. Magnum might just have the opportunity, but no chance at all. Leaves us down with Doma. Well, to be frank, it might be once more one of those comebacks we have witnessed over on Split. It would be a miracle if that is actually happening. As I say that, brilliant shot onto Scream, but that should be the end of the story.
Yeah, they haven't fully invested into this round, so there is an argument just to try and make this one as costly as possible, but I do think Mystic was a little bit low on cash because he obviously saved in the last round, so I think we were looking around 700 credits coming into this one, so an extra weapon saved could actually be a nice little bonus for FNATIC going forward. I imagine we're also going to witness the Operator come out next round. Now, if for some reason you live under a rock and you haven't seen Durka's Operator before, it might be one of the most enjoyable things in the entirety of Valorant. So this definitely could be the game-changing round for FNATIC, coming in with what I would call their first proper fall buy. But at the same time, I do agree. Like, Liquid are now back in contention for the map.
They are. And this is a thing, unfortunately, where we don't know too much about at this point, but the factor called nerfs, calmness, focus, such things. I would be very intrigued to know more about that, but obviously something we, for example, had with Masters where we could hear a few of the comms was very interesting to see, because there was also this pattern, I think, with Team Liquid back then where they seemed really nervous from time to time. You might remember that one round on ASCENT versus V1 where they nearly had the game. That was one of the rounds where I thought this was absolutely breaking them apart. And I think Team Liquid, they seem to grow ever since. And that is the interesting part. How far can they grow? Can they even extend to once more make it to the Masters? We all expect that.
Yeah, I think we were expecting both the teams to at least have the opportunity to fight for it. But you know what? They didn't make it through Challengers 1, and Giants then had other ideas, Challengers 2. So one of them has to go. One of them won't make it through to EMEA, and one of them definitely won't make it through to Masters. Now, Soulcast is already taking an awful lot of control, but again, this is just a ruse. He's going to use his Seekers to at least give them an extra little bit of information. Actually, looks to try and go through Spawn. They've also thrown in the Rolling Thunder, which will clear out the site at least for now, but it seemed like FNATIC were ready for both of these ults. They have dodged both.
Soulcast just waiting. Right timing here onto Dirk. The spike, obviously on the A site. We usually see them getting there around when 45 or 50 seconds have passed, so pretty much on average here. And now Liquid, it's all men equalized again. Same amount of soldiers on the battlefield, and all with the same motivation. FNATIC could get themselves to number 11, get closer to the well and so important needed victory, but now they chime in. First player goes in, yep, he goes through, he doesn't feel it, but he's suddenly out of bullets. How does he get away with that reload? Magnum is chiming in, there's still an operator in the form of Yumpy, and they just might all run into that meat grinder, but Cryptic knows he gotta do something about it. He's gonna stick it, and Doma's gonna bring it home. Goodness gracious, it seemed close, but all under control at the end of the day. Boaster might be a little stressed, but it's all looking like we get map number 5 for ourselves.
Yeah, there was so much in that. Like, firstly, you had the push from Magnum. That was just a timing-based peak. He goes through just before the aftershock, and I think they'd also utilized the paranoia, so they didn't want that ability to go to waste, so he just takes the initiative. and it's a risky play. I think also the reason he survives, by the way, is because he gets flashed by Doma, but the same flash actually blinds his opponent. So neither of them could see as they were taking that fight, and it allows him to last a little bit longer. And Doma, well, 3 kills on that retake. Might have just given them what they need to get that map over the line. Now, it is still going to be an investment, don't get me wrong. And Durka, he's got his operator once again, roaming the map. Such an aggressive stance from him. They're waiting for him. No, what is that flick?
No way. No way.
You can't even see his crosshair meet his opponent, but he still manages to find the kill.
This is usually an operator kill he doesn't make. He doesn't go that far necessarily. He goes far, but that far, a bit of an unusual stance. But I love to see it. This is giving them a slight advantage. 11-7 can turn into match point any second soon.
Oh no, the counter paranoia. They've all been scanned. Every single player has just been spotted, and that gives Doma almost the initiative to try and make a bit of a play back into the A site. They wanted to try and turn the tide, even things up a little bit before getting the spike down, but for Liquid, it has to now be done in the after plants. Utility, not going to be in the greatest spots, and the reason they wanted to reclaim tree is because they spotted the lockdown. They knew that this would eventually be put into place, and without tree control, they now have to leave the site. This gives all the space back over to FNATIC, and Liquid have to try and fight back in. Magnum already looking to shut them down. Scream onto just 10 HP, and they're running for the hills. They're leaving this one. It's going to be 12 for FNATIC.
This is what they were looking for. And you see right there the Killjoy ult. The lookdown is hitting them like a tidal wave. Breaking on the shore. Brilliant stuff that's coming in from the FNATIC side of things. I just wanted to say, how much ults will they save? How easy do they feel taking that round back home? And the thing is now, no matter what the score tells you right now about Boaster, the guy having an impact, nevertheless being the IGL, I think I don't really need to emphasize on that. Nevertheless, look what he picked up. It's the Hunter's Fury now. That could be maybe a free kill, maybe them holding up, maybe an after plan, quite much saved. We're gonna find out.
Oh, they're trying to counter Durka. They've at least forced him back off the angle. It will give them at least a little bit of control. Now, that's actually the spike. So, Yumbi needs to be a little bit careful. Soulcast is actually going to go down into mid as well. So, this split thus far has gone incredibly badly. Losing the first player, it's also being watched. Durka now knows that there's one out and in the corner, but he's going to get forced into a pretty awkward position. Just about manages to survive. There comes through the Hunter's Fury to give them another advantage. Scream and Cryptics to keep them in the map.
The chances are most definitely limited. At this point in time, Scream and Cryptics are those who have to turn this one around.
Spike.
And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much here on a silver platter. Really, it's the worst you could ask for, by far. And sealed, sent, and delivered to the side of FNATIC. This game should be done and dusted. And, well, it seems like we had on Breestorm. If Scream is not going to show us a masterclass that you will never witness again...
He's going to die to the turret if he doesn't destroy it. And he even gets wallbanged at the end. That's a really...